Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon, listeners. If you just give me a minute, let me share this video and we can start this conversation. Today it's Wednesday, the 12th of May, 2021, and the time is just gone about 1900 hours UK time here in Birmingham. Just a minute, let me share this video. Thank you. Assalamu alaikum, mbokk yi man la Souleymane Souare di ñëw Facebook Live, just a short one. It's almost time to break the fast. I think I have an hour and some minutes to spend online, but it's quite important. Tomorrow is likely Eid everywhere else. It's Eid around here, and probably we take 2 days or so to celebrate, and we might not have time to be online. But there's a lot of developments as always, and we can't touch everything, but we can afford not to come on just to discuss some of the main important issues that had happened the last time we were online. And these are the issues, and I'll start with the seizure of the drugs at Karaib, the border crossing Karaib in Farafeni. And the issue here is contraband drugs were seized, and as evident that we can see the seizure and everything that was involved. But there's more to it. I think that's why it's important to discuss this. What is more to this is it exposes a lot about the country we are in. I know some people are looking at it thinking that it's not a serious thing. It's only false drugs, fake drugs. Fake drugs are equally dangerous or more dangerous than even narcotics. That's one. Two, it's not only fake drugs. It's not only medication, fake medication. Some of these drugs, morphine and others, are synthetic, and other synthetic drugs are present. And they are highly addictive, and they are really affordable compared to narcotics in the country. And I think Gambians can see the evidence of the abuse of synthetic drugs, abuse of opiates in that country. The violence in the youths, the criminality in the youths point to substance abuse. And it's not the grass, the traditional jamba we know, no. And some people want to play this down because they see it as a political capital for the opposition. It's sad that that's how much some of us would want to look at issues. The issues are between us and them. I don't know who is this us and them, because what happened in that country affects every Gambian. Every one of us, it affects us, and it affects our neighbors for that matter. Then I don't see this of us and them. I know it's very difficult to defend the undefensible. It's very difficult to defend an unpopular political party or a government. It's very difficult to defend a absolute corrupt government, absolute incompetent government. But that's your choice. That's what democracy is. If you want to look like an idiot, if you are silly enough, if you lack integrity to go and support something that is completely wrong, It's affecting society, affecting the country. Trying to defend something completely stupid you cannot defend is absolutely clear out there as daylight. That's your problem. But that narrative cannot stand because we will not sit here to let that narrative be peddled. Or do it's not cocaine. Who said it was cocaine? Yes, because of why did we even jump to say it's not cocaine? Because cocaine is normalized now in the country. That's why, you see, that's the psyche. That's our mindset now. Cocaine is just a normal stuff now. Oh, it's not cocaine. Oh, this one is a new one. It's a contraband. It does a lot of damage in society. It does a lot of damage in society, equally as these drugs or others. But other things that we have seen, the evidence we have seen there, the concealment. The concealment is done by using fisheries products. Again, what does that tell us? That the fisheries industry might be infiltrated. The expansion of our fisheries in the hands of people we don't know, people with questionable background, most probably. And the fisheries industry is an infrastructure that supports smuggling, narco trade and others. We know this fact. Internationally, it's a known fact. And in fact, nationally, should be a known fact. When the 1 ton of cocaine that been seized during the Ajama time, the people that were operating it had a fisheries company, had a fisheries company. In Senegal, most of the seizures happens by people, companies that are investing in the fisheries industry. Because in many aspects, they have the opportunity, they have a consignment to go, to access the Atlantic, where they go and meet, to collect. And they have the infrastructure, the storage systems. And that storage to give them another thing, fish. The smell of the fish and everything else is part of something they use to consume. Now they can put this within their fish products and carry it out of the country to export. It's an infrastructure. Now we have seen evidence of that in that consumption. I mean, when it was consumed, the amount was there. But let me just reverse back to the post I made when this thing was unraveling. When it was unraveling, I made 2 posts regarding this. Let me start with the first one. I made the first post, and the first post I said the drug cartel running the state. The drug cartel running the state. What people have to understand is a cartel does not only do one thing. A cartel does not just say, I only bring cocaine or I only bring class A drugs. No, they get involved in anything that gives them money quickly, illegally. The cartel operates to evade tax and do things that are not allowed and things that they can have control of. The cartel will do pirating. They'll pirate. They pirate. They pirate the art by music or videos. The pirates, the cartel will do counterfeit brands. The cartel will do that, just as they do counterfeit medicine. The pirates will do human trafficking. The pirates will do other things to make money. The cartel will do other things to make money. That's why I said the cartel. When I read and said the cartel, probably some people jump to think the cartel must be about class A drugs. No. Inform, they deal in any contraband that will give them money. And I went on to put about 10 questions. I say, question 1, is the president compromised and controlled by the drug cartel? Is it the president compromised or controlled by the drug cartel and controlled by the drug cartel? This is a valid question to ask. Why in the country the government is not addressing this problem, where we have seen the evidence that the country it's right in the hands of a cartel. A cartel of drug smugglers, a cartel of business people, an economic cartel that control consumable products. Now we've seen what's happening in the market. This is a fact, and you need to be worried about because the president is known to be naive, to be corrupt, to be absolutely incompetent. President is known from day one, and when we came out and talked about this, when he was in Dakar, we started agitating. They said, "Stop it." People thought, "No, it's something else." He started receiving bribes from there on. He's got control from there on. He doesn't know. He doesn't think about why, who is giving me, and why would anyone give me. He thinks that he's a president now. Anybody gives him, that's his popularity, and it's okay. No business person. Nobody goes and give out without something. Yes, if when ordinary people give out for something, appreciation. But why do what did the president achieve for people to appreciate him to give him? Were those people giving him when he was not a president? No. The people that know him, the people had he owned favors or did favors or people he shared with, those are the people who have something to appreciate to give or to ask. Now, if he's a president, whoever give or ask is doing on because of the position he controls. Then he owes that to the Gambian people, not to compromise the integrity of the Gambian nation, and by doing the right thing. But he is completely unsophisticated, and I can say clueless to the extent that he doesn't care. All he's greedy. All he cares about is wealth, and regardless of what that wealth is or how he gets it. And not because he's clueless. That's why I use the word clueless, because this is something that you will not end up enjoying because people will come after you and people will take this out. And there's no compromise about that. Just as he did to Yajame, he will have to go through the same thing. I said number two is the entire internal state security apparatus compromised to the drug cartel. You see, there's many ways the drug cartel operates. They have a political buy-in and they have institutional buy-in, and they do that in many ways. Do we know that very many senior officers, because of the indiscipline in the forces for that long and everything else, many senior officers now uh, are living a lifestyle that they cannot maintain, and the cartel are very good at doing that. How many of them are getting their school fees paid by the cartel? How many of them are having their other needs taken care of? How many of them keep on going around the cartel, asking for money and all the things? The cartel know how to control it. This is how it happens. I'm not saying that every officer is, but we have to ask this question because the problem is here. How comes as a full-fledged security, we are not in time of war or anything? What are your priorities? How comes all these things are happening in the country, but they are not apprehended? The only time they apprehend anything is two things. Either they have a lead, which is not wrong, from international community, law enforcement agencies to give them a lead, and they get onto it. But they should not only rely on that lead. They should have their own intelligence here. They should be professional enough to able to have their assets in places. They should identify. They should know places to look at, how to look at, how to do things in order to detect it. If that's not happening, we have to ask this question. The other thing is the only other time they arrest anybody or anything, it's the low profile crime. They go to areas that are known for have delinquents and young, small bandits or wannabe bandits or whatever, and they make arrests. Weapons, normally grass, wheat, and other things being arrested. But how comes no big criminals have ever been arrested in the country with all this crime going on or the crime being detected? Now that's a valid reason to ask these questions. We have to find out this question in order to find the solutions to them. And the other thing is when they do arrest, even when they do arrest, check it. When they arrested the three at the case of the 3 tons of cocaine, a local Gambian was arrested. How comes always the kingpin escapes? Because of the complicity? Is it because of complicity of this law enforcement? Do law enforcement tip them off, or what else? It's only is it either both the political buy-in and the law enforcement? These are things we need to ask. In the case of the 900 blocks of houses arrested, the Mauritanian, the kingpin was a Mauritanian. He's not been arrested and nobody talk about it. The case is not going to. Just ask the three tons of drugs. And in every other major case, it's the young Gambians who are picked up as victims, as the perpetrators of the crime when they have kingpins and nobody arrested. We have never heard of economic crimes being dealt with and anything else, but it's always this. Why? Is it because of the cartel have control? I mean, both the economic cartel and the drug cartel have control of our state, hijacked it completely. How many? How comes there has never been a significant arrest and successful prosecution for all the major class A drugs seized in the country? This can be a condition of both political will and institutional failures that the cartel have compromised both. Compromise the police, the justice systems, and everything else. Cartels will only operate in places that they have a conducive environment. They are parasites, they are filth, they are everything. They don't operate in a decent environment. They need a conducive environment, and this government have created a conducive environment. That's why they come in and go and do what they want. The evidences are there. How comes we are arresting and prosecuting? I went on. I don't want to take time on this. I mean, we can both all do our analysis for it. Why all why all the major drug seizures are led by tip-off from foreign law enforcement officers, apart from when the laborers accidentally discover the drugs from the Lebanese importers. You see, that's the irony again. The only time we had a local fight was when laborers accidentally, I mean, got hold of the drugs from the container of sugar imported by a Lebanese family, a Lebanese businessman. And guess what? They dropped the case, no evidence. How can you lack evidence when you get the material evidence? How can you lack evidence, the manifesto and everything addressed to the person? The person went and took up delivery from the ports, the things delivered at the person's warehouse, and during the course of offloading it, someone has to take responsibility. How comes there's no evidence? How big is that person? And how far did that person go in order to make sure the case did not have a day in court? But young Gambians will be arrested every day and taken through the system. And again, number 5, how does it happen? How does it happen that the main culprit always manage to escape out of our jurisdiction, just as the case of Bantaketa and the Mauritanian for the other drug seizures? As I said earlier, how comes? It's a tip of how comes? How do they let their operations? We have to find that out. Okay. 6, Senegalese authorities must have alerted their Gambian counterparts after the seizure of the lorry at the Kir Aib border post on the 8th of May. Why do we not hear of the security services raiding the premises where the freezer trucks loaded their cargo to arrest the owners and investigate the crime? This crime was this truck was apprehended on the 8th of May on Friday at Kir Aib. We didn't hear about it. And I understand that the security protocols work. The minute that happened, the next custom post is the Gambian custom post. They would have heard about this. Is either officially been notified or informally notified. Then those people, the security of the Gambia must have known from the 8th. What did they do? From the 8th, that's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, when it break, from Gambians find this information on Senegalese media platform. I'm not talking about our journalists. We don't have them. We don't have them. But the security I expect, the relationship they have, this information should have filtered. Or did the information get to them and they sat on it? That's what Gambians have to ask. And if, in fact, the Senegalese never contacted them, let's just give them the benefit of the doubt. The Senegalese authorities, which is very doubtful, have never contacted them, and there's no informal or formal or informal way of knowing these things, which is impossible again. As I said, the border posts are not far from each other, and a major fine line that would have, and they are all friends. There's a fraternity between custom officers. Let's discard all that, give them benefit of that. They didn't know. It's Monday, today. How comes today, hope to today, we don't hear from the law enforcement officers that they have raided premises where, or they have apprehended or arrested suspects that have something to do with it. We have not had that. We'll get to that in a minute. We'll get to that in a minute. Um, Sorry, I lost the page. That was five, six, seven. Who or what is stopping the security services from acting on the seizure or reporting the matter to the public before the story goes viral on social media? Information escape on need-to-know basis, obviously. It's part of investigation, part of a campaign, part of to get solicit help and everything. Information escape. Need-to-know basis. Why we don't hear that? We don't see that. Only time we hear from our law enforcement officers is when it has to do with I mean domestic issues, or let's say it's not low level that there might be serious crime, but have to deal with local people. Um, then we hear about it. Like case of mother, then we hear about it. But anything else we will not, especially deal with drugs or to do with the cattle. Um, Continue to say, is this to give chance for the cover up and allow the criminals to escape out of our jurisdiction? This was very important. When I wrote this, I said to give chance for a cover up or to let the criminals get out of the jurisdiction. And the cover up have come up. The Minister of Health took 24 hours, Minister of Health, to come out with a silly statement, a silly statement. And that was my question there. Why they keep quiet about this thing? Why do they take them time to come out? And to, I mean, this is what they do. Um, who or what is stopping the security services from acting on cases or reporting the matters to the public before the story goes on? Oh, I've talked about it. 8, why are the law enforcement agencies only targeting low-level criminals? Why? Do they have a mandate not to touch anything else? I cannot understand Operation Zero Crime, and you just go to the same location, same places. I went to Carnifin, I went to this, that's why the same places. You go anywhere, any night, you find our youths. But is that the solution to our problems? Is that the solution to the criminal problems? What is the root causes of these problems? Why can't we have an approach, a comprehensive approach that addresses the root causes? No, it's absolutely victimizing the youths again, those youths who are already victims in many ways. We don't have time to talk about that. But we understand when youths commit crime, those youths are victims because they are under the responsibility of adults, under the responsibility of institutions. Either their parents have failed them, society have failed them, or the school system have failed them. Because I have to touch that in a minute. Because in some cases, when kids are not doing well in school, they are not being catered well in school, and especially intelligent kids, they might be suffering from other mental disorders. That's why you see them when they get into crime, they see, but doesn't mean that they are not catered for, and they go in there and try to be use that smartness in the wrong way, and that's how they become victims. Arresting them in those areas and taking them straight through the police system, side and these things, and remand and to the courts, to prisons, and they come out again. Does that ever solve the problem? Why don't we think of reform our criminal justice system? Why don't we think of a parole system? Why couldn't we think of other ways to make sure the youths, especially the youths, or anybody that goes through the criminal justice system is treated fairly? Fairly in the sense that the social justice is always at the backbone of what is done. To see, um, look at the motives of these crimes and the background of these people, and to treat them individually as people, not just collectively, I mean, let them label them as criminals and throw them to it. No, some of them it's their false mistakes or they have different they can be rehabilitated in many ways. Why don't we look at ways that the security forces can work with their parents and the institutions, with their schools? In countries that crimes have been reduced or managed, is through a comprehensive approach. It's never through taking them to the prisons. It costs the state to take them to the prisons and they do nothing there, but instead the state provide an institution, the prisons as an institution, even to make them worse criminals. When they come out, they might go in for pickpocketing and come out as, something else because they are fraternizing with other criminals and so on, building networks. And they come out and they join those networks. They hear stories. These people you send them to, the people that would inspire them, that will motivate them, and they will be their mentors and take them out. Why can't we take them out of there and give them people that will inspire them, motivate them, mentors? We have put up apprenticeship schemes and other things. Why can't we take our money? The country, we have the money to invest it in this, invest it in our youth. No. We all hear the amount of money that the president has been spending for himself, daily, for his family. The corruption going on, not only the president, with all, his entire cabinet for that matter. They all turn out to be billionaires right now, millionaires and billionaires right now in the Gambia. And the so-called technocrats and others. But the kids would be, or the youths would be the victims all the time. And we think that the country will continue to prosper, or the country, and we keep on crying out for crime, why the crimes are happening. Why do we think those crimes will be happening? When the biggest criminals, the honest criminals are not untouchable. Until we do things like that's what it is. And nobody would be safe if our youths are not safe. If our youths are not safe, nobody would be safe. And this is to bring it to ourselves. Some of us think that we can loot and do anything we want, or look the other way. Not even loot. Some of us, we just want to work hard and do our thing and get our stuff and disregard society as it is. Don't want to know anything or get involved in anything to make society what it should be, and think that society will be what it is, and start crying out when things go wrong. Start crying out when you cannot enjoy that wealth that you work for. Your family, your children are not safe due to the conditions around you where you are, because you have not done anything. If we leave things to these people, this is what we're going to get. Until we get off our chairs and get involved, this is what we're going to get. If we expect the people like those Arnold, Sidin guys, Barros, Mambure guys, those are the kind of people to these things, and we don't build a credible alternative. And the situation we are now, a single political party cannot bring about change in the country. It would need a nationalist movement to stand up to bring about change. How Barrow will be replaced is one thing, but how the country will be developed is another thing. Let me just move on this point. Number 9. Where is the committee the president promised to establish to investigate the major drug seizures in the country? See, this is why people should have. This is why people address to say that the president is part of the cartel. Why did he promise to set up a committee just to keep quiet about it? What is he afraid of? Who is controlling him? What is he afraid of? Why is it not happening? No, we don't hear our opposition talking about it. We don't hear our civil society talking about it. We don't hear our journalists talking about it. It's always nonsense on Facebook that we take as news, when real news is happening. When they had the seizures, they just went and printed the same thing they got from the Senegalese news. They didn't take time to analyze it, to try to put a perspective of Gambia, to try to get something out of it. No. It's just, yeah, pop, pop. Literally the same translation and pop. Not in editorial to help people to understand. No. The same thing, the Minister of help come out with a statement, take the statement and just paste it on your page and call up a news. That's what journalism is. Thank God we have social media. Thank God we have social media. Just imagine what that country would be. In continuing, are the politicians, journalists, and civil society organizations going to prioritize dealing with the drug epidemic, damaging the youth of the country, caused by the byproducts of the country serving as a major transit point for drug trafficking? Are we going to keep quiet about it? Politicians, how many political parties do we have? What do they have to talk about? Nothing, absolutely. How many media houses do we have? How many media houses took the COVID money? What do they have to talk about? Nothing. Absolutely. Absolutely nothing. Now, that was the situation. That's what I talked about that bit. We go into the other post I made before getting into the nitty gritties of some of these things. The second post, I came out again and I said, who reported cocaine? Don't try to downplay the severity of the seizure of drugs at Kira. Straight away, they send their little men and women to come around, sniffing, trying to downgrade or trying to spin. Say, yeah, I know cocaine be. I know cocaine be. It's not cocaine. That's shame. That's complete shame. Exposing their ignorance. But if anyone at this material time, if any Gambian decided to stay on to support this government for what is happening in that country, you just expose yourself. You're either ignorant or selfish. It can only be one of these. But they came out sniffing. And I just thought, like, let me just put something out there. Let's educate ourselves. I said, fake drugs and synthetic drugs are equally dangerous, especially when consumed locally. Fake drugs and synthetic drugs are equally dangerous, especially when consumed. It's a contraband. It's fake. There's a reason. They're making money. Do you know where these proceeds go to? You see, that's why people don't understand the cartel. I'll give you an example. When you talk about conflict minerals, where does the proceed go? That's why you call it conflict. Because it's taken from a conflict zone, not that. The proceeds go to fuel conflict, to buy arms, to do other things. Some of these drugs, the money, might be from organized crime. It's from organized crime people anyway. Some of them might be jihadists. You'll be surprised. Some of them might be other things. Separatist movement somewhere in the world or somewhere, or in the Africa, and other things. Just the proceeds are dangerous, and what the drugs will do to people. These things are dangerous. They are just like bad as the cocaine or the heroin is, or even worse than heroin, or worse than heroin. But no, they always go and pick the youths. Jamba training, jamba training, jamba. And the worst of these things are these fake drugs and this synthetic drugs. And these synthetic drugs. Yesterday, a friend of, someone just posted ecstasy tablets. Half of ecstasy tablets is $300. A full ecstasy tablet is $600 in the Gambia. Synthetic drugs and other drugs we don't even know what their names are. All they do is to give them high. And why do you think the youths are going so violent? You think it's because of the Jamba? No. The Jamba have been with us forever. We have never seen this level of violence. Now we ask ourselves, why this level of violence? 16-year-old, 15-year-old, 13-year-old, going with knives and fight, breaking into people's houses? No. What we used to know about 13-year-old is the kind of theft that would happen would to jump in someone's garden to steal some oranges and stuff like that. Even 16-year-old, those are the things that we do. but not to breaking into people's house where they you know that they you don't care for their heart with weapons to do any damage. We have seen how many of them. These are synthetic drugs and others. They are dangerous, especially consumed locally. Yes, it's meant for transit, going to other destinations, but some will be consumed in the country. Some will be unconsumed in the country. And the more availability it is, the more it's likely to filter down into the society. And it goes to borders to other these things. But again, the reason the person choose the Gambia because Gambia become a safe haven for them. Now, some of the proceeds might come back to Gambia and you use those proceeds to involve in other things. Why do you, I mean, some of the things, vices you see I mean, it's just too much. That's how dangerous. I continue. I say the evidence of the synthetic drugs abuse is indicated in a high level of violent crimes committed by the youth. These drugs are highly addictive, cause maximum damage to mental health, fuel the rate of violent crime, and the drugs are affordable compared to Class A drugs. They are highly addictive. Morphine and other things. It does not end up being used by people who are sick. It goes down to the black market to cause damage. Yes, some of this morphine find its way to the mines, the mineral diamond mines and others. That's what they give to these kids to drug them up, to feel no pain, to use in conflict zones, to, to medicate themselves. These kind of things they do. And this most of these jihadists believe that it's halal to use this stuff. They don't take it as drugs. They give it to them as pain medication. They don't give it to them as drugs. That's why they go out of their head doing what they do. And Gambia play a part in that because we are transit point. The name of our country, Gambia, is known for drugs now. That's what mainly. Every time leadership sees a drug, go and type it. Go and look for it. Because of we have a government doesn't care about us. It doesn't care about anything apart from what. I continue to say these drugs are highly addictive, causing maximum mental health damage. That's why our kids are gone. I mean, listen. And imagine some of these drugs, what they do to you. We don't even know because they are fake drugs. They're not tested right. They've been developed right. How many people will be taking this? And I'll come to that. I think it continues. I said these drugs are highly addictive, causing maximum damage to mental health, fueling the rate of violent crime, and the drugs are affordable compared to Class A drugs. When the fake, when the fake drugs get into local drug distribution networks, will compromise the entire healthcare delivery system. If it gets there, in even developed countries, United Kingdom have what programs that they are battling to stop it, battling to stop fake drugs getting into their system. Imagine in Gambia where people don't have the medication, this will just replace the entire stock. Now you not knowingly going to a doctor's to be prescribed, going to a pharmacist to buy because that's what's affordable. It becomes affordable to buy, not knowing that you are killing yourself because what you're doing is not treating your illness, but not only that, is giving another illness because of it's not safe. Just imagine that. And people try to downplay that. But why do cocaine? Rather be a cocaine than something that can easily get into our healthcare system. I continued and said this issue of fake and synthetic drugs should be handled with maximum concern, not to downplay or politicize. The government has to be held responsible for creating a conducive environment for the criminal cartels. It's not about politicizing. When we take out issues, it's not about politicizing, and it should not be politicized. It's about politics, though. But not to be politicized, we are raising genuine concerns on issues that are to be held because the government doesn't care. Imagine if social media didn't say anything. They only respond because social media. It's not because of the media, not mainstream media, because mainstream media is patronizing with politicians. This is what is happening. 1 or 2 minutes, they let a little bit of steam to sound genuine, to be trusted, or to intimidate the politician, the paymasters. This is what is happening in the country. The only time we citizens come out and go on social media to share their concerns. It's not about politics. These are genuine concerns that people have to be careful of. I continue to say the Gambia international reputation is damaged with the continued seizure of large number of drugs without a significant arrest and successful prosecution or um, su- um, suspect with complete silence. You see, why why do we hold this government accountable? It's not only affecting Gambia, but in the countries, Gambia and Guinea-Bissau is the countries that provide a safe haven. In Senegal, it happens, and you see the evidence of arrest, and you see significant arrest. The last time we saw the arrest, 3 Colombians, they arrest them, they saw their passport stamps, and I'll tell you one thing. The law enforcement officer didn't want to name Gambia, but one of those stamps, he doesn't want to be political. He chose to talk about Guinea-Bissau. Guinea-Bissau, the safe havens. This is why we have a problem with this. And you have prosecution. But in the country, no significant arrest, no prosecution, and the government goes silent. This is why we are worried. And it becomes a chosen destination. Do you imagine when the cartel understand that they have a complete buy-in with the politics, complete buy-in with the institutions, and now society is just dumb about this. They just walk in and out, sell their drugs, come in, buy properties and everything. Why do you think we have this so much of this so-called properties going on? So much of this so-called business is going on. This is what it creates, and the byproduct we know. It's not only about our international reputation, but we have seen the level of crime, violent crime in the country. What accounts for that? What accounts for the violent crime? Let's come back to the issue about not reporting. Why the failure of this? Nothing been heard from the government or them. But the minister of health, Samate, came out and said, "Oh, they made their investigation after 24 hours, but the drugs are not from the Gambia. They are from Casamance, or they are not from the Gambia." How can that be true? Why would we trust anything that comes from this government? I tell you why. The same Samate, a few months ago, during the last presidential tour, 2 venues, he came out and said something. He said the amount of development in the healthcare sector, amount of investment in the healthcare sector and development have never been done in the history of healthcare in the country, not Jawara, not Germany. He said that they have enough of everything, only to come out to be found out to be untrue. Not only on that, on many issues that he said contribute to, but this with nurses, the nurses coming out, standing up to say, look, that's not true. We are using one glove for all ourselves. For horses, we're using one glove. We're using one string for repeatedly for a person. This is in the middle of a pandemic and other problems in health and other problems he talked about. He talked about the integrity of the healthcare system and everything, but nothing. He did not tell us what he was going to do or what he have done. And we are the ones receiving the delivery of services. And customers, we are not satisfied. That's where the evidence are. We have seen the amount of GoFundMe going on to try to treat and people. And look at the time that it comes to go for me. In most cases, I'll tell you, it's beyond remedy. But everybody have a right to be treated, regardless of how bad it is. We cannot just say no. But most of these people, if there was a delivery system, their conditions will not get to that level where we have to try to look to airlift them out of the country. Go and, I mean, look at the hospitals and everything else. How can we trust that guy? But again, let's come back to the statement he released. To my understanding, the Senegalese have said something very clear. They did not say that the vehicle coming from Casamance on transit. They said the vehicle from the Gambia, originated from the Gambia. These are experienced custom officers. And secondly, I will have to look at it again, but some people have disinterested. It's actually the number plate is KM number plate. The number plate is KM number plate. Again, what investigation was done? Absolutely not. Now there's allegations. I don't want to mention this thing, but Watson Gambia have made allegations that actually the minister's sister works at the central pharmacies, and the minister's sister is a friend to one of the alleged importers of fake medication. This is an allegation that Watson Gambia have done. You see, that's why the question of this investigation on Gambia, we have to be worried. We have to be worried that there's no control in that country. Anything comes and goes because of the pressure from the president. The government doesn't care, and we have reports again. The fisheries minister is trying to lift the ban on nighttime fishing, or just cause some of the restrictions put in order to keep our stock at least to sustain our stock. It's time to take it off for the interest of who? The Chinese. We all know why, because of the kickbacks they have, not only him and Barrow. That's why the permanent secretary been put on suspension for how long? How long will it take for them to investigate that case to bring it to conclusion? No, because of that technocrats. The technocrats are part of the problem. That's why you don't see them. I mean, they are part of the problem. They don't care. That's the attitude they inherited from them. It's a it's a matter of survival mode. Survival mode. Just look after your interests. Don't care about the rest. For the citizens that care, or the citizens that care from any reason, for any reason, being patriotic or for to care to be selfish, because you live in the country and the country going down is going to affect you. Or being patriotic, knowing that you are Gambian, regardless of where you are, you cannot take Gambia out of you. You have to be concerned. And being concerned is not to talk about it, but to do something about it. Political change will happen. Is it going to happen this December? Very likely. But would it mean a realistic change in our conditions? No. Until we factor in not a political change we're looking for, but we're looking for a change that the system of the country will change. And that can only happen when people come up and take part in the political change, to have a stake. If any single political party manage to do the change, what do you expect? And these are the same people coming to say, yeah, they're giving every position to their people. Where were we? Where were we? To fight for the change. Why do we give it on a plate for anybody to take? It's our right, it's our duty to make sure we fight to have control of the country, especially those people that believe they know better, believe or think that they, I don't know why they think they're important. They cannot get into these things there, and it's just silly. I think it's ignorance. But why would we not use ignorance? Is because these are educated people. They can justify being disengaged as being sophisticated, and we accept their narrative. No, it's been lazy and been selfish, and that's why we are in what we are. Until we get off that country It's just going down the pipes. And if we just make a mistake of letting this Barrow government continue after the fall, I'll tell you, because that country would be no more. Yet, not, and it's because of what is happening to the country, that nothing works. Nobody cares anymore. Nobody cares anymore. We need to regain, recapture the country from these cartels and make sure something is being done. Why did I say this? Look at the issues, and you measure these things. Someone like CDJ, can you just believe that Gambia? Someone like CDJ sitting on a platform talking about defending this government. See, someone like CDJ lying about this president being humble. You all know Mutsabal is not my cup of tea. It's not about Mutsabal. It's not my cup of tea. It's not my Facebook friend or anything. I've never spoken to a gentleman. It's not my cup of tea. But this is not about Mutsabal. See, this is the problem we do have because we go straight and personalize it. No, this is about what this chap Sirinja represents, what he represents, and this is what the cabinet represents. Now we have the whole people, the whole system that we had to fight to get rid of the dictator. Now they stay on and entrench themselves. Now their information minister now becomes the spokesperson for the government in a sense. To the extent of telling us focused lies that we have evidence of. Talking about the humbleness of the president. Oh, he doesn't. We talk with etiquettes and nonsense. It's a lie. When the president was blowing his caskets, talking about where were we with Dr. Sisi, were blowing his casket. Who was that? The the Barrow. I don't like calling him a president because he's not mine. Barrow keep on beating his chest, lying about his contributions, about everything else. Where's the humbleness in this guy? The person who came and redoubled his salary and allowances and everything else. Where's the humbleness in it? Where do we measure humbleness now? We let this person try to push this narrative because we don't like the person he's addressing. Because we don't like the person he's addressing. No, we should be problem with the content of what the discussion is about. The same person coming to justify saying that someone else should have been shot if it was China or somewhere else. When the present people should be shot for condoning corruption with what they did with the Jani Commission and even become more corrupt than Jammeh himself. But why did he have the audacity to sit down there to say these things nationally? Because we have sanitized this government by our silence. We are complicit by our silence. We are complicit by our silence. We are complicit by our silence because silence is about being divisive. We want to hold on to us and them, mine and I mean, this is the problem we have, and that problem has to be solved. We have to tell truth to ourselves to understand this is where we are. We reduce our state to this condition. This is what we reduce our sitting there to sit there to lie openly, talking about corruption. No, not wanting to tackle where the Barrow is corrupt or the Tesla. Go and ask. He's lying. Why can't you just fucking sorry? Why can't you just tell him about the? You see, this is what happened. Why can't you just tell him about the audit reports and other things, scandals we have and everything? No, that's a problem. Talking about people's temperament as and taking that and you trying to bring Islam into it and religion into it because of people's temperament. I'm not saying everybody's temperament is, but most of it is from person, whether it's right or not. What does it have to do with being respectful or not? The president will be attacked. What else you want? keeping people like you and being the person he is. When we celebrate, when we fought and elected and celebrated and defended the president, where were you? But he will have the audacity because the people we become. That's a testimony of us. That's why he has the audacity. We know why he's doing it. He's not trying to tell us. No, Alaji Sise was just asked to be transferred, which is a lie. We have access to the reports. We have access to the reports. But that's what it turned up to be. But not only that. You see, we, as I said, we always see this evidence and we wait for things to happen and start to say, oh, Ben Wahonako, Pandari Wahonako, Di Wahonako. But the evidence are there. Ben doesn't have more access than you. You'll be surprised. Probably Ben have just passion and this because the same people have access in is our brothers and sisters. And we are living this. Nga nekk si diaspora, nga nekk on the ground, you are living realities because we know when Ramadan comes, they call us. When Eid comes, they call us. When someone died, they call us. When someone wants to go to hospital, they call us. When someone wants to be circumcised, they call us. When someone having gente, they call us. When someone wants to get married, they call us. When someone wants to build a house, they call us. What do they don't call us for? What we don't know what's going on in the country. How do you tell me you don't know what's in the country or you don't feel the pain in the country? Yes, passing, they feel it more. But we know all this. Why should someone give us another narrative? We see the evidence where this country is going. And we have to be very careful. I said it's the desperation of Bam. You see, when I talked about how this 3 years governor was the campaign they did to stop the 3 year general or confront the 3 year general, all because of Barra being scared. It if they were smart enough, if they were competent security personnel, we would not have needed that rubbish. Everything could have been taken care of with the rule of law, with the minimum force required, and today nothing would have come out. $45 million is budget. $45 million is budget was used for this company, from equipment to distribute money to different things and buying people, buying different things. And now some of it's coming, or some are querying a $9 million. Others will be going somewhere else. People were offered homes because Barrow was scared. That's what he's scared about. That's what he cares about. Not whether our hospitals, he doesn't care. Schools, other conditions in our country, no. The guy went and bought almost 100 vehicles. Today, as I said, it was stupid. Now what's happening? Where are the 100 vehicles? He cannot even run them. They cannot even manage them. The minute they give them out, they don't account for it. Now they keep on bringing them out, regrouping. That's what they keep on doing. You take in resources you don't have capacity to manage. The resources will evaporate. That's why people saying about he have money. Hey, money without sense is just it's suicidal. Where so many 100 vehicles? What the 100 vehicles have added to him apart from exposing that he doesn't care about the people? This is the sort of government we have. Now, where's the money they're talking about they have? It's exposing that the money goes and everybody takes their share and everybody comes for their share. That's all they did. Anything they said to him was fake. As we said, during the lunch, the evidence came out was fake. When they started to retain people, paying them monthly, it ceased because somebody else decided to pick it up. Now everybody is they all fighting each other. They cannot form a committee, and other people are running away. Now they see things are not working out. Yeah, the so-called educated elites from the Bakau Banyan community, now they don't even want to be known as NPP, but they still want to stay in the government. Others are scrambling because they are comfortable. They don't need the money coming through the political funding. They already have their avenue of taking. But these people are not, they don't have it. All they have to be, they have to be part of the political structure to have the funding and to keep themselves, to keep their lifestyle. Because the country is so expensive, you cannot rely on 10,000, 15,000 salary, 20,000 salary for what they call themselves up to be honorable. They are now all honorable. Honorable Sehuba, now they also want to be big. Their budget now is so processing what they want to do. And all this, that's what, these are the things we are. But you see, we should be worried about this. These are the sort of people in government. And these are the sort of people going for election. They will do anything to want to stay in power. And not that what they do is going to be effective to step them in power. No. It might be a catalyst. It might be a catalyst. Why it might be a catalyst? We have to be very careful. I can say that Gambia armed forces, I will tell you 60% population, percentage-wise, strategically, 80% is still in the controls of Yajam. We have to be very careful. We have to be very careful. The recklessness of Barrow might be a catalyst. That's one taking time bomb. The other taking time bomb is the population of youths in that country that I have no hope. And some of these people came back from the back way, traumatized and lost everything. Some of them, their parents committed on them. They went through the back way. They could not even get to Europe. Some of them get to Europe and still they came back. And orders and every day. And we have seen the presence of opioids and on synthetics and different kind of drugs. We have seen the evidence of violence. What do we expect if we have a catalyst here? The president coming with those statements is his state of mind. And these people talking about all this nonsense, threatening people or policing, it's their state of mind. They cannot survive with in normality. They are parasites. They can only survive in an environment like that. We have to be logical about this. They want a government like Barrow to continue. They don't care about the country, just like Barrow doesn't care. Now, if it's come done to them that they cannot pull it off, because you cannot run an organization without organization discipline, without to build a structure, to communicate well and to manage your resources. It's not there. It's going to fail. But if it fails, I'm not worried about Barrow. I'm not worried about people with Barrow. I'm worried about Gambia. It takes a little to cause a catalyst. Sanyang was an example. We've seen KMC right, demonstration when Golden Book House was born. We saw the Brikama one, but the Sanyang one, if you really analyze what happened in Sanyang, within a short space of time, the precise attack, the execution, and all the things that I don't want to talk about in security, you'll be scared that if this happened in KM, with all these youths we see around, with all the abolitions, what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? These are things that we should be very careful about. And I said, until we come out, this is not a political party political solution. This is a national solution. Yes, political parties should go out there to try to win over, but Gambians should be part of this struggle. To join those political parties or to be part of civil society, to be proactive in making so. A political party does not build a country. Political party is part of the process of building a country. Whether they are in opposition, be vibrant, and hold government accountable, and providing solutions to the problems, engaging, or to be the party that is lucky or fought, work hard to win the elections and be a government, to be tolerant and ready to be held accountable and ready to be inclusive and get people to work together to move on with the other section of the community, which is the civil society or the private sector. This is what a government is made of. Government is made of sectors. Government is not made of a political party. But in this case of this divisive politics we're playing, this case of sitting back and just watching, being lazy about it, thinking that we are sophisticated because we are not in politics, which is ignorance as it comes. But we cannot call it ignorance because we term these people as educated people or educated class. No, they are ignorant. They are not conscious. That's why they would want to sit down and see people like Barrow and this lot to manage their affairs and to sit down and live in a country that is unsecure and unsafe. A country that cannot even determine first drinking water for in the middle or in your capitals. When you live in suburbs, where you can't even have guarantee your electricity, your water. I mean, your safety, your sanitation. What do you call that? The country? Go and see the pictures coming from Basse about the conditions in Basse itself. What's the point of going to build roads and everything when the people that you need to invest in are living in those counties? You think that those roads will wait for them? They cannot even take care of themselves. You think they can participate in using the infrastructure you provide in order to be part of creating that greater wealth? No. This will bring us again to the evidence of the issue that happens in Bartes at the Sarakunda market area. Now we have the local government saying it's the central government. We have not heard from central government yet. But the audio we had about the problems. People are taking the laws into their own hands. We have seen that enough. We have seen it from victims arresting suspects, alleged perpetrators of crime or whatever it is to be tortured, inhuman treatment, torture, and everything else we had in the TRRC, we saw people doing. That should tell something. That should send a message to us what society we live in now. That's why we need rehabilitation. The entire country needs to be rehabilitated. But you have to have people with minds, brains, and love for the country to do that. Now we see in this condition, different form of taking the laws into their hand. Now the frustrated community around the market decided to take their frustration out onto the stalls and hawkers or whatever it is that just stay around their doors. And they came out the night, middle of the night, and burn this starts of this. It's arson. That's arson. Call it whatever, it's arson. And in the audio, technically, the practice has been endorsed by the council. Just tell you the state, an elected council endorsing unlawful act. That's the state of, that's the state of affairs in our country. But I understand the frustrations. I understand frustration of victims. Just as the big victim of the other crimes, I understand the frustration of the community around the market area. And for things not done, you've tried everything for over the years and everything else. Yes, and this is the frustration. And again, another frustration people have to understand is the people losing hope. Gambia, people have just lost hope because you cannot get nothing done or seems to have anything done by this government or the sectors responsible for things to be done. Literally, we just live in a completely dysfunctional society. We cannot call a society that is governed. You see, the benefit of governance, why we have governance itself, is absent. Then that's why we don't have governance in the country. When people talk about how human beings started, to the extent of evolving to the age of enlightenment, started to build structures, to policies and all governance and everything to come into where we are to be. This is where we are, Gambia, for these things to happen everywhere. Now, I don't blame the people putting the stalls there. They are looking for a living. And this is encouraged in many ways. Where they are paying for the position. The council is coming to ask for fee, what they call it, levy or fee or not lamp or you call it. They're paying for that. You see, it's been legitimized. You see, these problems cannot be solved until we have government in place. And the things have deteriorated to a level that people are taking the laws into their own hands because they have no costs for recourse in the system. The system is not working where people can go into address. We have seen in the case where the lady lashed out against a politician, the guy from Gambia, because of the lady was frustrated, things are not walking to the court system. And now, I mean, these are the things people will lash out. People will take it onto other people. And we don't condone it, but it will happen. And in this case, it's like two victims. People are coming out to find their living. And remember, most of these people are people who are struggling. And every day, what they earn every day goes straight back to feed their family, take care of their family, pay for school fees and other things. These are not multimillionaires. You see, the comparison is here. Ja Oil, Hamidou Ja, Ja Oil, the friend of Barrow, who is sponsoring by doing all this, he's going around building petrol station, which is more dangerous anywhere he likes, and people don't have a problem with that. Or if they have a problem with it, they're not lashing out on him. But we always lash out on the people we can reach. Lower scale, lower level scale of the lower level these things that we can reach. I understand the frustration of not having the peace and tranquility, living by the market, the busting around, and we all know all that. It needs to be resolved. But again, we have to understand again, empathize on people that come out to find something to spend. I saw a video once in Bilkama, I think last year or year before last. I shed tears because what I saw. Women were they have baskets. Women had baskets, lots of them, around the market. I think along the road. They were selling. They put that down, selling their stuff, and people were coming. Customers were coming. They're buying. And this one of the women articulated well because he saw her receipt. Said that I paid to sell here. But when the municipal police came, they were beating them, and some of these women had babies behind them, their back. They were beating this woman like slaves. And these ladies were picking up this heavy load, some of them with the heavy load with the baby, and trying to walk away from the municipal police. Is that right? Is that right? Our municipalities are not working, central government is not working because central government and municipality are not working together. It's all about politics. Who is right? We have to find time to find that out. Who's supposed to do this thing? We have to, these are the things, but things are not working. The evidence is things are not working. Whether we know whether the municipality is wrong or it's right, or the government, central government is right or wrong, we cannot tell that. Now, if you just say things, unless you have knowledge about these things, how they run, you just speculate, or you politicize and taking sides on where you like. But the evidence is wrong. But where this wrong came from? Again, from that lack of comprehensive stuff. When we talked about governance, when we say that we're going to remove the dictator, another thing we talked about, yes, first was our fundamental freedoms. That's what we articulated first. Secondly, now we have to rebuild, we have to reform our institutions. And security, obviously, for we know they were mainly perpetrators of this crime. But the justice system too, we know they were part of the enablers. You know, these are the things, civil service were part of it. We said these are the things we want. But society, again, we would have to need to invest in society. But we will have it in time. We will have this, we'll have this because we need to plan that country. We need to build that country. We need to develop, we need to put decency in. That's what we talked about. But no, we just gone back to political projects. Build a road, the road will be up there. There's no surveys, or whatever survey they do. It's just to put a road down there, and now no drainage or no this, no that. Take the land, issue the land out to different people. They build whatever they want. People come in. There's no planning laws or anything. The only time you see the physical planning, if they want the land and they want to take it from someone else, they come and bulldoze that to give it to someone else. So this is the system we had in place. People can build anything, sacks. Young guy keep on saying, they look at this country, people come on, put on sacks on anything. There's nothing zonalized. There's no, you can open a shop, you can open a barber, you can do anything that you want. It continued. You go to areas I went to this place in Latrikunda Mampoto. You see a street with this car dealers, and you cannot just get it. The born oil, the toxic, everything else just go. That's the country we have, and continue to be like that. A single mayor or a single municipality cannot deal with it. We need a central government fit for purpose that will work with these things and fix this. But until that happens, people will be fighting among each other. What we can do now is to appeal to our people to, 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 to be more considerate and to be, I mean, we try and find ways to deal our issues rather than using the violence or taking the laws into our own hands. We would not be better people if we just go back, uh, deal with issues in a manner that is not supposed to be done. We would not be better people. And that is a reflection of our society. Until we do these things, we are at the risk of destabilizing the country. I said all it takes is a catalyst. And the worst thing to happen if a catalyst happen without this catalyst happen without in this environment, catalyst happen with this environment, we cannot dictate, we cannot even measure, you cannot sit down here and analyze this is where it's going to end. It's free for all because there are lot of prejudice, lot of anger, lot of things. I mean, disgruntledness within society. Society is so polarized, and people will try to settle this cause. People try to settle this cause, and all where it happens. When we say the Gambia, it's just a mega, and in this case, most likely the Banyan Greater area, and the effect would be disastrous. There are many issues that just made that land so fertile for to be destabilized. We should be very careful about going about these things, and it might happen because of the government we have. But as people too, it's our responsibility to try to see how we deal with this. It's unfortunate. We have lost the fourth state. We have lost the press. I'll tell you that. We have lost the press. Don't ever expect waking up and thinking that the press is part of helping to do things right in the country. No, it's all this concept of survival, just as we had in the dictatorship. So just find a way to be safe and do your own thing and to get away with that stuff. Now, anybody who goes out of that conventional wisdom to do things differently, care for the more talk for the mom mu bañ a dem jël liggéey bële lu tax mo def it's all about that lu mo jëlee xaalisam di ko dugal si politique lu mo jël xaalisam di ko dugal si lii lu mo jël time di ko wés si lii dëkk bi moom du dem that's what they want you to believe that's they want you to take impact because of they are trying to cover up for their moral bankruptcy. Now they want everybody to accept that we are all equal, we are all morally bankrupt. That's why when they come to the TRC, they say that it's a lie. It's a lie. We all know who did what, and we can all hold take responsibility. We should all take responsibility for what we've done or what we haven't done. But they want to say that's what they want to say. It's the same concept. Those lunatics calling for yeah, they you fight and you move on. That's the whole. They're all completely bankrupt, morally bankrupt. That's why they think that way. Now they want us to be guilty as so contribute bokkul ci loolu rek da nga soxor da nga bugg a fekku kana bugg a fekku su lay bugg a fekku si kan it's not loolu dañ bugg a jerowaat réew mi si lu mu nekkoon réew du mun a dem nit ki lu ko neex mu def dafay daaw du si génn ñu bugg a toog ne kañ ne foog ñu draw line fenn foog ñu draw line fenn but it's up to us Gambians to do that up to Gambians to do that te foog ne dama eewu dama civilized dama lii man dama lii dama bokk si politique end of the day ñu bokk si politique ñooy dem decide fële te suñ demee nag ñu taxaw fii ne waaw ñu ngi jël bugg a akimoo yëpp and those people ñu def akimo because of ñoom jàppal nañ ne si luñ bokk rek dañoo gis njëriñ bi direct pour ñu dugal dem tapale sàcc ak loolu duñ dee ragal sax o am ñaari xel sa ne maa ngi jël responsibility ndax responsibility bii muñ maa jox ndax yelloo naa ko ndax mun naa koo amee mun naa see def lu ma si war a def o ñu jox leen ko sax ñu xool seen bopp ne ah déet lii ëpp na doy xaar ma taxaw why do I say that people keep on saying that xanaa yow bon suñ la definee dañ la war a jox do you know what it takes to sacrifice to take a job for government moo tax we encourage people that take this job from government. It's not an easy decision. They make a righteous person. They're accustomed to certain things, your healthcare, your education of kids, your standard of living, they're accustomed to all this. By working hard in that environment, they want to buy them, risk your welfare of your family, your welfare, your future, your pensions, your healthcare, your education of kids, because environment they can get them for a small salary. All things you accustomed to. Some people are lucky, probably they have the savings, they have all the things, but most of us don't. But does it mean that we cannot still support a government? We cannot still take part in one way or the other. But the Malani, no hamne, real millionaires, I'll tell you, they not jump to positions or your position. Fingan ko joxe sa dañoo nañ ko xalaat lool ndax ndax ci seen xel màcc na ndax mun nañ ko ndax condition bu nekk si réew mi ak nu mu nekkee moo tax ñun suñ waxee nekkul yëfi anything ba dañ bugg a jàppalante am na ñu nekk si réew mi ñoo xam ne yelloo nañ ko mun nañ ko o ñu ngi si place yi ñu ngi koo def wala mun nañ ko booy yooyu yëpp moom fa nekkul ne dañ ne ñu indi ay aliens def indi ay foreigners non luñ bugg a mooy ne ñun Gambien si ñu xoolante ku nekk nangu luy dëgga ñu dogal dëgga boobu di jàppalante those people di sacrifice da ngeen gis nurses yi di sacrifice docteur yi di sacrifice dem leen laajte ñaata la ñoo fekk dem leen laajte ban condition lañ am teachers yi di sacrifice dem leen laajte ban condition lañ nekk seen jabar yi suñ biiree mun na ñoo dem private ñoom suñ feebaree seen doom yi feebar mun ñoo dem private seen doom yi mun na ñoo dem private school seen doom yi suñ demee te xoolal fu mu ne nii ñu dee dem si the Gambian university or college sax fu mu ne nii pour am des stipend ou pour am scholarship sax problème mooma dee naxal suñ toogee ne yaa jëme sax lu mu doon joxe moo ëpp just imagine that yooyu yëpp ngeen xool ne teacher bi nurse bi docteur bi policeman bi soldat bi all this civil civil ama béykat bi they cannot afford this because dëkk bi du tey loolu la and Barrow doesn't care moo tax ñun ñu ne ñu bugg a taxaw pour delloo réew mi nu mu war a mel nga xam ne social care services yooyu yëpp nga xam ne all these issues will be dealt with crime bu ñoo gis nii dafa neexut ñuy gis suñ 16-year-old suñ jarbaat yi suñ doom yi luñ buggal suñ doom yi yu nekkal fii si diaspora bi laay waxal fu ne wala suñ doom yi mun a teg suñ kër yi because of yàlla either liggéey nañ very hard or whatever it is mun nañ ko afford samp nañ kër yu mag yóbbu nañ suñ doom yi private school yóbbu nañ leen ñu jàngi si biti def nañ loolu yëpp wala suñ doom yi ñu ngi jàngee si school yu baax si Gambia whatever it is ñun luñ def noonu luñ mun loolu loolu lañ buggal waxama ne ñëppaay dem private waaye ñu am ama these things can be done need to put just Benin country as an example mun nañ ko def it's a fact but duñ ko mun a def su nekkee ne jóguñ fu mu ne nii to start to deal with these issues as I said I don't want it to be political but end of the political party might then form a government su nekkee ne nag jóguñ political party then form a government and end of the day you am absolute power they use it the way they feel. Political party is a political party. Politician is a politician. The good politician is the politician you hold accountable. The good politician is the politician who hold accountable. Lulu, thank you very much, guys. Thank you very much. Waxtu bi jot na fi. Dinaa ne xam naa ne suma mbokki séeréer yi nañ kontaan tey ak joolaay at least démba luñ séntu woon mënuñ ko am waaye sant yàlla jeexal nañ weeru koor gi tey foog naa ne ñëpp war nañoo jeexal tey di ñaan yàlla yàlla nangu suñ ñaan yàlla nangu suñ jaamu yàlla fekkee ñu at yu baree bari jox ñu kàttan bi ubbi suñ wërsëg pour mun koo jaamu mun koo ñaan pour mun nangul ñu ko ñu ñaan yàlla yàlla indi ñu jàmm suñ kër yi suñ réew yàlla delloo suñ xel jox ñu sag boobu pour ñu xalaat suñ réew bu ko suñ réew pour mun a jàppale réew mi dem fu mu war a dem Eid Mubarak happy Korite si yéen ñëpp suñ family friends and ñëpp happy Korite jërëjëf thank you